So question number 6, reverse the following string A, B, C, D. So far we actually worked with primitive data type. So this is the first time we are working on a string. So you should know some concepts before you actually watch the solutions. So number one, you should know primitive data type, char. So char means it represents a single character. So you can only use one character, but a string you have multiple characters. You can see A, B, C, D. So that's the difference. Number two, we should know Java method. So a method is actually a block of code executed when called. So we're going to use two methods today. And then number three, Java string class. So as I said, string class means in a string you can actually save arrays of characters. And this is, since this is a class, it has some methods. So we're going to use two methods. One is charAt and passing int index. We'll see how that works. And then another one, int length, to get the length of the string. And then we also going to use for loop. So these are the concepts you should know, or you should have some or basic understanding. If you are not sure about this concept, I have added the videos in the description, so you can actually watch them first and then look at the solution. So let's see, how do I solve this? Reverse the following string A, B, C, D. So the answer should be D, C, B, A. All right, let's look at here. So this is the string. So the key word we have is a string, and then the variable we have is str. That means we are saving A, B, C, D in the string str. My job is to reverse it. That means I should get D, C, B, A. So the way I am thinking is that, okay, I have to find a way so that I can actually start from this location, which is D, and print that character D. And then I have to go to C and print it, and then go to B, and then go to A. So how do I do that? So first thing, I actually need to know the size of this string so that I can use the iteration and iterate 4 times. So I'm gonna, first iteration, I'm gonna should print D, then I'm gonna print C, then B, then A. That means I can see that I can use a for loop here for the iterations. So let's see, how do I do that? So let's first get the size of this string. So if I don't get the size, that's an int, because that's a primitive data type, because you're getting the size, which is an integer value. So int size equal, I'm going to use the method str dot length. If you're using dot length, it will give you the result, which is 4, because there are 4 characters here. Okay, so now that I know the size of this string, what I can do is I can iterate through this. So we can use the for loop for iteration. But remember, instead of, so far what we did is we are actually going from left to right. So in iteration we did, we actually do from A, B, C, D, but this is the first time we are actually starting from right to the left. So that means I have to actually start from D. So let's see, how do I do that? So I'm going to say int I equal. So how do I know that I'm starting from the D? What should be the index here? So as you know that in Java it works like this: 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's the tricky part. In the size is 4, but if I say, okay, let's start int I equal size, okay, it will look at the size and it will say, oh, the size is 4, but if I am inside this string, I do not see any value at 4 because the highest is 3. So how do I tell my loop that, okay, start from 3? So there is one way to do that. You can say size minus 1. Okay, so now 4 minus 1 is 3. So now you're actually starting from this index, which has the value D. Okay, so this is the tricky part you need to be careful about. You cannot say size because the size is 4. Okay, so you're now at D. Now this is the first statement in the for loop. There are two more statements. So let's do the last statement. So remember, once you are at this index, right, int I equals size -1, that means you are at index 3 and the value is d. So now you have to go to the next index, but instead of increasing it, you're actually decreasing it, right? So that's why the last statement has to be I minus minus, because now when you do minus minus, you're going to decrease it by 1 and it will be at C. Okay, and now let's look at the condition, because you have to stop when the index value is 0. So how do you tell the for loop that, okay, you got to stop there? So you have to stop at 0. So your I has to be greater than 0, because you got to print 3, 2, 1, and you also have to print 0. But if you're saying I is greater than 0, it's going to stop at B. It's not going to print A. So that's the reason you have to say greater than or equal. Once you say that, it's going to print B and it's going to print A, and then it'll stop, because your I is not less than 0. So that's the for loop. How do you set up the for loop so that you can touch all these characters? Now the last thing is you have to print. You have to print D. So how do you tell your for loop that, okay, once you are at size -1, print this value? So that's, here comes our second method that we used. You have to say str dot charAt. So charAt I. Okay, once you say that charAt I, that means what happens is that it will look at the string. Okay, what's my string? My string is A, B, C, D. Now it's saying, okay, what's the character that I'm looking for? So charAt, because this your string is bunch of characters. Now it's saying, okay, charAt I need whatever I have at I. So you're starting from size -1. So the initial value is D, or the character is D. So when you say, okay, string charAt I, print D, that's the value you're getting from this index. And then when you're decreasing it by 1, that means your I is now no longer 3, it will be 2. And when it's 2, it'll look at, okay, size 4 -1, which we did already, which is 3. Now this is the new update, which is 2. So now you are at next position. And once you say, okay, what's the next position? The next position is C. That's why it's printing charAt I, which is now, so it was at 3. Now it updated to 2. So you're gonna look at what's in 2, and it will say C, and then it'll go to B, and then it'll go to A, and then it will stop working. Okay, so that's how you set up your algorithm in a way so that you can reverse the string. All right, so now we will write the code, and I'll explain it one more time so that you understand it clearly. All right, so now let's look at the code. All right, so here is our string. So I said a string is a string. Okay, instead of using str, I'm just saying a string is A, B, C, D. So first of all, I need to get the size. So int size equal a string dot length. So as I said, the length is 4. So I have the size of the string. Okay, let's delete this one for now. Now I have to use the for loop, using int I equal size -1. When I say size -1, it's going to start at D, and then I should be greater than or equal to 0, and then I has to be decreased. And then since I want to print, let's do system.out.print. I'm not going to use print ln, because that would, if we do that, then it's going to do a, and then you have another row, another. We don't want 4 rows. We want them to print in one line. So I'm going to use print. So I'm going to use print. I'm going to say str, sorry, not str, we're using a string dot, you can see charAt, and it gets int index. What's the index that I'm going to print? So I'm going to print I first. Okay, so that's it, done. So if you're printing what's the character at I, so I is size -1, size -1 is 3. So let's look at D. So what's the char at I? Was the value is D, so it's going to print D. So let's run this. Okay, so now you can see DCBA. So that's how you can reverse a string. So we can add more, it's not gonna make any difference. I can use 10 values, 10 characters, 20 characters, doesn't matter, it's still will give me the same answer. So now you can see FADCBA. So that's how you can reverse a string. All right, thanks for watching, guys.